Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of the Talk to Tanner Morning Show, where we go over tips, tricks, ideas, and exercises to help make you, the investing real estate agent, a better version of yourself to reach your number one personal and your number one professional goals. I'm your host, Tanner Witt. I am a life and business coach for that demographic specifically, but we welcome all entrepreneurs on the train and mission to make ourselves a better version of ourselves. And this morning, we are giving a shout out to Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens is a supplement drink. It has over 75 vitamins and minerals, and this drink is, for how healthy and how good it makes me feel, it tastes pretty good. Granted, hear me out. I can drink protein. What would be a good comparison? I can drink protein with water, and that doesn't bug me. Some people like, oh, that's disgusting. That doesn't bug me at all. I can get it down, get my protein in. But for some people it does. And I think it tastes better than that, but it's not like a milkshake by any means. But again, Athletic Greens, great. Love them. Shout out to Athletic Greens. You the best. All right. Getting into today's show, we're going to talk about real estate expenses. We're going to talk about expenses for rental properties. This is one of the things that are not talked about nearly enough. And it essentially completely, just as much as your income controls your profit margins, your expenses do as well. Although I am a big believer that it's better to focus on driving the income capacity of the business more so than usually, say, cutting back super hard on expenses, because a lot of these are out of our control. We still need to manage them, understand them, and get them down in a tiered place. So I thought this morning it'd be helpful if we just run through them, and then you get in your own situation like, oh, I haven't thought about these expenses. Oh, these expenses my market's a little different. I have additional these expenses. Because one of the things about expenses is that they vary from state to state. They vary from neighborhood to neighborhood, property to property. So as ambiguous as you want to think, or as specific to the property as you want to think, but just getting these ground rules down can help with our understanding of rental properties. How do they actually make profit? And what is the real numbers behind it? One of the greatest things about real estate is that it's a controlled investment. In a lot of ways, you control how much is going on. Whether I could control one of my properties, I pay for the utilities because it's a government type property. It's through Section 8. And I put a lock on the thermostat because I don't trust these people to jack it up to 80 in the winter when they're kind of cold. And then they'll literally people will open windows to help cool themselves. Oh, it's hot in here. Open up a window and they'll keep the thermostat at 80, just cranking that furnace. It's like, not good. So some things, a way to work around it, and we just got to keep learning. So let's go ahead. Without further ado, we're going to run through these really quick, as Thursdays I have a really busy morning, so we're going to hop off here after that. But okay, expenses. Let's go ahead and hop right on to it. Real estate expenses. Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and fix our Instagram camera to make sure that we can see us. Okay, real estate expenses. All good to go. So this is a list of expenses. Let's go ahead and run through it. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go ahead and run through these real estate expenses. So these are all the expenses you're going to experience for your rental properties. And depending on the area, there might be a few different ones, but I'm just running off of mine. Like, this is a report that I give to investors, just see our returns dollar for dollar, because that's, you gotta know your returns and how much money it's going to make specifically if you're ever going to want an investor or people to buy into what you're doing. You got to know your numbers. So number one would be real estate taxes. Let's just write taxes. Taxes. Okay. I'm going to write with my right hand, actually. Next would be insurance. After insurance, we have management fees. This is one that gets slept on quite a bit. Management fees. Do you want to be managing the property forever? With our rental properties, we right now, my girlfriend and I, we're managing them ourselves. However, I'm still putting the money away each month as if we had a property manager in there, as our hopes are to travel more into the future and move, whether us and our family move down south or whatever happens. But we need managers in place, management fees. So manager's fee. You can do property management, manager's fee, whatever. Next would be repairs. Repairs. There needs to be a certain amount of money that gets put away every single month for such as the roof, the siding, the windows, the furnaces, new floors, paint, everything. That's, as we talk about a lot here on this channel, is that in real estate, there's two fundamental laws that'll never change. Buildings break down and people are fucking crazy, right? Those are the two golden rules. And for that reason, because people are crazy and because houses break, we got to have something for repairs, right? Putting away every month. That can easily, you can forget about that. And then by the time it comes up, then we're not prepared. And we don't want to be caught with our pants down. So next, after repairs, we'd have water / sewer. Water / sewer. If you were investing in any type of city, town type deal, you're probably dealing with just paying water and sewer to the city. If you're out in the country, you probably have a septic, but I leave that up to other people. As an investor, I probably don't want to be in such a rural area that I have a septic. However, I have personally never owned an investment property that was based off of a septic, so I'd have to direct you to someone who'd be more knowledgeable with that. But under my current investments, it's just I pay the city water and then sewer is actually tied with trash, but we'll get to that in a second. So that would be after utilities, reserves. You got to have a reserves account. The reserves is essentially just another distribution for repairs. So there's CapEx, which goes directly to like the building side of things. So we were talking about the roof, we were talking about the windows and the siding and all that kind of stuff. And then the reserves would be more so for things like legal actions. Say if anything happens with a tenant, you have to evict somebody, money for vacancies. I'm sure you've heard of an expense. I tie it into just reserves, but essentially a lot of people talk about vacancies because your properties aren't going to be rented 100% of the time. You're going to have somebody move out and the place is going to be maybe a little dirty and you're going to have to clean it up and all that kind of good stuff. And then to come back into it, you're going to have to maybe have some additional capital to be able to help maybe pay to clean it up or to just hold on to it because you're going to have to continue to pay for these other things while in the meantime before you get the next renter in. So that is just reserves, another separate financial account for extreme things like really nasty things you got to clean up, evictions, and that type of stuff. Okay, cleaning. Snow removal, pest control, These are two things that easily can be forgotten depending on where you live. Our investment portfolio is in the Midwest, so we get snow. And sometimes the tenants get blocked in. Right now, if there's ever an issue, my girlfriend and I would probably just run over there and help shovel or do whatever we got to do. But in the future, budgeting for snow removal, there was a multi-unit property that I really wanted that I put some offers on that had a giant driveway. And when we were doing the underwriting to get the underwriting to kind of be able to present to the investors their cash on cash return, the cap rates, and all those investment metrics we'll go over another time. But when we were showing our investors that, I had to underwrite and I had to get quotes for it. And for example, it was like $2,000 a year of people coming on average, that can depend on how much snow falls. but like a couple grand a year just to have snow move. So that's something you need to consider and keep in the back of your mind. And additionally, pest control. It depends in the area you're at, but I've never really talked to too many renters and landlords. Once they start owning, if you own, like for example, there's A, B, C, D class properties. There's A, B, C, D class tenants, and there's A, B, C, D class neighborhoods. So properties, tenants, neighborhoods, and they go from A to D. I should do a separate show on that, but nonetheless, our properties are, the lower you go from A to say like D, probably the crappier the tenant is, the crappier the property, or this and that. And the lower you go on these grades, the more money you're going to have to budget for stuff like pest control, because these tenants tend to be a little dirtier, a little nastier, etc. You get what I'm saying? Okay, after pest control, then we just have under repairs, we have taxes, insurance, management fee, repairs, water, sewer, and trash. Trash and electric. Trash and electric. Gas. Gas. Okay. I think we have them all on here. These are all the expenses I currently have to pay for on a variety of properties. Some of them I pay all the utilities, and some of them I don't pay any of the utilities. But just understand, I want to go over there this morning on stuff to just get a reminder and to refresh ourselves that we must be able to calculate how much this stuff actually costs in order to know how much money this is going to actually make. Because one of the biggest hiccups with buying real estate, most of the time you don't have all the money up front to kind of figure it out. And you need support from whether it's friends and family, you need support from other investors, and you're just going to want to be knowledgeable enough to be able to write out something like this where you're just kicking out like, oh, this investor is going to make a 14% cash on cash return, yada, yada, the return metrics. But before I get into that, you got to even equate that, you have to know your expenses and how much is making, and then you take all of this, you take all of these expenses, and then you take the rent, and then you just minus the expenses. And then you get something we call profit. So these are a reminder of all the expenses. Are there any expenses that you haven't been thinking about, or when you've been looking at properties that you've been wanting to buy in? Are there any that I'm missing here? Are there any that are in your own neighborhood or specifically to your area that'd be a little different? Such as insurance in Florida, they have lower property taxes, but you got to pay flood and hurricane insurance, and that's a higher expense. So usually pick your poison, whatever area you're in. The expenses vary, but most of the time they usually stay close to this framework. We might be missing one or two. But taxes, insurance, property managers, repairs, water, sewer, reserves, snow removal, pest control, trash, electric, gas, might be missing one. And then you just want to take the total of these, and you want to take the rent minus these expenses, and then you take your profit. And then also you're going to be able to decide, like, I think it's best to make the tenants pay for the utilities and lower the rent, just because these people tend to take care of the properties a little bit. So what utilities do the tenants pay for? I like to make them pay for the trash, the electric, the gas, water, sewer, and that's pretty much it. The rest of it, oh yeah, internet, I guess, is one. Internet. Shoot, internet's like as essential as freaking gas nowadays. So, but I always make tenants, if they want internet, they gotta pay for it. So, but okay, thanks so much. This was just a list of real estate expenses. I wanted to go over this really quickly to give you a better idea of how we're trying to figure out what that profit on that side is, and maybe there's some expenses that you've been missing in your underwriting, or maybe it's just a good reminder, refresher to sound more knowledgeable when you're talking to people who want to invest in real estate, talking to people who want to grow themselves in the real estate world. If you need help and you need support and you need a life coach, you talk to Tanner. That's right. Thank you so much. If you guys know any real estate agents, investing real estate agents who are in their 20s and they're in their 30s, they're young professional, they really want to grow themselves, and they want a coach who's going to support them through there, please, if you know anyone that fits that demographic, let me know. Make a connection. Make an introduction. I pay for referrals. I'll pay you $200 if you can bring me a client and they sign up. So, little thing to sweeten the pie. But thank you guys for tuning in this morning. We're going to go ahead and roll out. I have a meeting here pretty shortly, so I got to run. But we'll be back here again going over another episode here at 7 a.m. live Friday morning, November 11th. Today's November 10th. Holy cow. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun day. Let's get after it. Let's get going. What do you need to get done this morning? What can you learn? What can you absorb? What can you take action on? Who can you help? Keep chipping away. All right, friends, I'm rolling out of here. Everyone have a fantastic day. Cleo, do you want? Okay. My cat ran away. I wanted to show him in the episode, but that's okay. We're out of here. You guys have a great day. Until next time, cheers.